Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa. This is a fantastic Saturday. We are live streaming, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do this gorgeous painting with poppies and cornflowers, daisies, and dragonflies. It's very beginner friendly. It's very easy. I'm going to explain every step of the process. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
He is here helping make sure that that explanation gets to you in the best possible format it can. So he tracks me with cameras, he zooms in, he reads your questions. He's like in the cockpit of a big giant spaceship, making sure that your experience is as good as it can be. If you have questions, we do take some of those during the live, so put them in all caps. Everyone that you see with a butterfly that says moderator Cadmium, moderator Viridian, moderator Azure, all the moderators are labeled and they will try to get those to us. We take as many as we can, and sometimes I check after the show to see if I missed a question that I really want to answer, and I put that in the comments. How is everybody doing on this important Saturday?
Oh, it's super good. Super good. Yeah.
It's such a good day to paint, isn't it?
Yeah. It's an exciting day to have this going.
I am ready to paint. This painting was done kind of in the celebration of the end of summer and the beginning of fall. We do these sort of very traditional things in art to represent those like seasonal shifts. But I felt like one of my very favorite combo of things is wheat. Really, these are chamomiles, but daisies, cornflowers, poppies. I think like together they're the prettiest thing. And of course, what doesn't make us feel more hopeful, more aloft, more connected than little dragonflies floating on the wind and delicately landing on things? It's really weird how like I have such bug fear, but yet these bugs I find delightful. Like I've been thinking about that lately. Bugs I can take, like butterflies and dragonflies, and bugs that freak me out, like June bugs. So, but that Japanese beetle think that's really cool. But his little, like, less cute, drab cousin, I am freaked out by. I spoop and run away. Interesting things you think about as an artist. You guys ready to jump on in and do this painting together?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, let's go.
All right. So you got some supplies over here.
Yes. So what we have over here is I have Cad Yellow Medium, Yellow Ochre, Phthalo Green, Cad Red, Burnt, oh, wait, that's supposed to be Burnt Sienna. Whoop. The labels will always look weird, so I picked the wrong one. Burnt Sienna, Phthalo Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Titanium White, Mars Black. And then a couple of brushes that I highly recommend that you have for this. Now, I'm going to be doing this with my number 4 round from the TheArtSherpa line, and I'm going to be using my number 4 cat's tongue. If you don't have a cat's tongue, if you have a small filbert in the number 4 size range, that will get you through just fine. And you can also just use the round in a pinch. So just know that you can do this. Another brush I recommend is a blending brush. Now, I like this Ultimate Varnish Mop here because it's synthetic and it's super soft. I keep a bunch of them around. You can also find that pretty easily, but you can use just any soft, dry brush that you have. I've had some people tell me they've been using makeup brushes in a pinch, so I'm like, okay. All right, so we have our reference here. Let's put that to the side for the moment and look at our 11 by 14 surface. If you check the description below, everything that we're talking about here will be mentioned here and on the website, including the traceables. So don't be worried that we don't have the supplemental materials. We do. We have them all for you. Now, I like to do wishes. And so because this is a very light paint and it struggles to cover, I only have done a few down here. I have a wish for Donna. Just love, healing, hope, joy, and good memories all around her family. And then I also have a very strong wish, cure, and healing and treatment for Crohn's disease. And then some good positive energy for finding a new home. And then good positive energy for the channel growing and being found by everybody who needs free art classes. I feel like that's a pretty good list of wishes. What do you think, John?
I think it worked.
Now I'm going to use this yellow because it's my lightest and it won't hurt me in this. And I'm going to come over from the top and I'm going to measure about 4 inches. And then I come down here and I'm going to measure about 4 inches. So it's 4 inches over and 4 inches down. And that's the center of the radial. Does anyone have problems getting those radials? So knowing where you're going to begin is sometimes kind of helpful because if you know you're 4 inches over and 4 inches down on an 11 by 14 surface, it's a good chance you're going to begin that radial, which is the focus of this painting, in the right place. I think that will get you help in finding your placement of everything, because that can be challenging placement. Where do we put objects on the surface can be really, really hard. And it seems like something that should be so simple and yet is not.
It gives you a nice little anchor point.
It gives you that anchor point to begin from. So I'm going to put out a little of my ultramarine blue. I may need more. And the reason I may need more is ultramarine can be a transparent kind of chalky weak pigment. It's lovely. It just has that nature. However, it plays against phthalo blue so beautifully, it was just worth using in this piece. Now I'm going to put down this nice big plop of titanium white. We all love titanium white so much, at least I do. I love my titanium white. It's a good, wonderful paint. And we're going to start just thinking about, oh wait, I'm going to put out teeny tiny little bit of yellow. I'm not going to put out too much Cad yellow yet because I don't need that much yet. I only need this small amount. Hopefully that's a nice visual kind of reference point for, I only need the smallest amount of cadmium.
Now,
just a little.
That yellow.
Yes.
Won't it mess with that blue? Like,
we're using such a tint that it should be all right. And we're going to be using the 2-brush blending method. Okay. If you haven't done that, that is demoed in my 6 ways to blend video. And we talk about that technique. It's a really effective technique when you're trying to get a good blend on stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just real quickly take a little water over these words. I use watercolor pencil to put them in, and that'll help them kind of vanish into my painting and into the universe where hopefully the powers of good do their job. I'm going to rinse that out a little bit more. Now in my hand, I have a number 10 Ruby Satin Silver. It's just a very nice bright brush. I'm going to go ahead and get it a little bit damp. I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to go ahead and make a little area that's just a smidge damp on the surface. Can you see that?
Yep.
I'm circling around my 4x4 spot, just making sure that's just a little bit damp. I'm going to drag off my extra water. I get it in there and I just drag off the extra. And look at me, I'm going to sneak over and get the smallest amount of yellow. I'm just surprised it even shows up in the picture at all. This is almost like warming your white to an eggshell white. And I'm going to just very carefully, in circular motions, brush out that. You see what we're doing?
Yeah, it's the whites there are so
white on white. So, but you can see I'm just brushing that out. I'm going to take it much further. You can see how far apart on the canvas I'm taking it. I'm going to take it further than I need it. And the reason for that is so that there's lots and lots of bloom for the radial blend. This is probably one of the more challenging parts of the painting because radial blends can be harder. Now, if you've never painted in acrylic paint before, you're going to want to work a little quicker than maybe is comfortable because you need the paint to be wet to blend it. I'm going to take a little of my blue onto my brush and grab a lot of my white, as you do. I'll dip in just the smallest amount of water because I've found abstract acrylic is a little sensitive to water. And I'm going to come here and you can see I'm just very gently blending around that spot where my sun is. See I'm going? I'm using a light blue. So I'm using the hue and the value and the wet into wet to create this transition. I push this out a little bit stronger right there. And you can see as I push more pigment comes off my brush.
Yeah.
Because it gets into the brush, it gets into the belly. There I am brushing. See the curve of that stroke?
I do.
All right. When I have that, I'm going to go ahead and take, now for me it helps because I'm in really intense, a micro mister, and then this dry brush, and I'm going to very softly come around and blend that out. Isn't that lovely? Just a beautiful blend. I like it. I'm going to dip in water a little bit. I'm going to get a little more ultramarine blue into my paint and continue, hopefully, this nice blending all the way around. Now, this stage of it can be a little bit harder. I'm going to dip just the toe of my brush in water a bit and come here and just make sure I'm softening everywhere I can because it wants to give me hard edges. as it dries, as it goes, that's what it's going to want to do. And what I'm going to want is a soft edge. So if I have to, I can rinse out my brush, get it clean. It's just damp with water. Before everything dries, I can come back and see me smoothing. Only works while the paint is still somewhat wet. Doesn't work after it's dry. And then if I have to come back with the kind of white yellow, I can always come back into this and get a bit of that mixture to make sure this blend is happening. See what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I'm paying close attention to this glow because the glow is what makes the painting really, really work. Just clean brush, dragging around, making sure that that blend is happening there. So what you're trying to avoid is hard edge stages of blending, which is what sometimes as new painters we want to do because we're working carefully, trying to be so careful. But you can't be that careful. You got to be fast, like a bunny.
Yep.
All right, mixing darker and darker values as we go. Blending it into what's in front of it so that this radial is happening. Now I find sometimes this, again, these little transitions, these steps, they are the extra I got to struggle with. Here's another trick. 2 layers. Sometimes we feel as a beginner we have to get a technique in the first layer and we don't realize that it can be a journey of 2 that gets us the place we're trying to go. And come in here with more white and more blue. I'm trying to create that glowing out radial of a sun. More white. Doesn't have to be perfect yet. We're still getting positioning. Maybe a little bit more here. All right, more blue. And then out here, I get a lot more blue. A lot more blue. And I'm still blending, I'm still working, even though I know I'm going to do a second coat. Still blend, still work. You can use things like glazing, liquid goldens. You can use this to slow down the drying time of your paint. Absolutely. Use that to good effect. Now that's pretty good. That's a good beginning. I'm going to rinse out my brush quite a lot. Right? So what I have here is some very kind of rough transitions. You at home, if you get that, might feel really frustrated. And I kind of lean into this a little bit so you can see it, so I can show you how you're going to blend that out, if that makes sense. Because sometimes I can subtly work a thing out, but for you guys, it's a lot more challenging.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to put out a lot more white. The key to this will be putting out a lot more white. We've got a nice base coat here. So you can kind of think of it almost as an underpainting, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure that my brush is fairly clean. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get the smallest amount of yellow into my white. I've got my second brush super ready. And I'm going to come here and begin to get that transition going. Smooth and round it out.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Got that round. Load up a lot more white. Get the smidgest of blue. Smidgy smidge. There we go. Look at us go. Blending that gorgeous summer sun. How fun is that? How fun. Keeping it quite a light value.
It really helps when you put multiple layers on.
Especially with ultramarine. I don't have to do as much with phthalo blue. Just because of the nature of it, but ultramarine, it comes from stoned pigments. It's an older pigment, and that can make it a little bit more challenging to work with. Doesn't make it bad. Wonderful color. There's a reason why everybody throughout history loved painting with it. It's a great blue. But you're just going to want to, get a nice thing. Now here I've got a little bit of a hard edge, so I'm going to just mist a bit. My paint isn't all the way dry. I'm going to take a mostly dry brush and just soften that. See that?
Oh, yeah.
Soften it out where it's just giving me any grief. Now, because I'm using a synthetic brush, it's not hard on my brush, the acrylic paint, as it would be, say, in a hog bristle or natural brush. And the other thing it's not doing to me that those brushes will want to do is shedding all over my canvas. You almost have to be like, you have to wash them so much, and then you have to be almost 10 paintings in before they stop just shedding.
Right.
Shedding all over your canvas. Now, when you get them there, they're great. All right. See how we're just making that as soft a transition as possible?
Mm-hmm.
I am leaning into this part of the painting because I know it's something that everybody really wants to do. Is my sound okay? My thing just came off.
I think so.
Okay. My little ear mic just took a journey. And even though I'm going to paint a lot of flowers over this, I'm just making sure that that is nicely finished. What do y'all think?
I like it.
Do you have any questions? I'm going to dry. John's going to chat with you guys. And then if you have a question about the painting and about this, definitely ask it so you can get that answer.
I will go over and check it out. So, while you are drying your surface, make sure not to use any heat. Heat is bad for your surface and for the paint on the surface because, well, if you're using water-based or acrylic paints, it tends to cause a color shift, which is a lightening of the pigments for various reasons, chemical reactions. As the paint cures over the surface, the heat causes it to heat up and do all sorts of funny chemical things. And it's especially bad on darker colors. So darker colors will shift colors to lighter colors, respond faster to heat. So if you don't use heat, just use air. It will cure more naturally and thus cause less color shift. Or I hope that explains all of that. Because I talk about that a lot. I've sort of become a hobbyist color shift watcher, which would say that, I watch a lot of paint dry. And yeah, so it's not all as boring as people make it out to be. I mean, there gets to be some, interesting paint action towards the end.
Paint action?
Well, I was just saying that I watch paint dry, and it's not as boring as people think.
There's some interesting paint action.
Sometimes.
I'm going to put out some more colors now. I'm going to put out, there it is, dropped over. I'm going to put out a little yellow ochre. This is yellow ochre. Sometimes it's called yellow oxide. Listen, you guys, you can use either. It doesn't really matter what they call it. That's really much more about the paint formulation. It does speak to some transparency, but mostly it's the same hue, so don't be too panicked on that. It's not that big deal. I'm going to put out a little burnt sienna, like you do. And I'm also going to put out a little phthalo green. So again, all these are listed. And I'm going to add a little Mars black to that mix. All right, so we've got those little colors out. They're doing their thing. And I'm going to go ahead and, for the grass, I really like to use my number 8's cat's tongue. If you only have one size, you could use the 4 across the whole thing. It just takes a little longer to get the painting in. I've got it sized, so I've got to wash the sizing out of it. Since I often reshape my brushes. I'm going to take my yellow ochre and a smidge of my black into it, and maybe in this case a little of my burnt sienna. You can see that makes a wonderful dry grass color. Look at that. And we're going to talk a little bit about this brush stroke. So You could use a round, you could use a filbert, you could use many different brushes, but what you're going to want to really pay attention to is how hard you're pressing at the beginning and how you release at the end. So if I press hard at the beginning, I want to release as I go through. See how it kind of makes a little tapered stroke where it breaks and the paint kind of shows through from underneath?
Yeah.
We're not painting, and I'm really on the toe of the brush. That's why I like this. The cat's tongues I really like because they give me this fine line, and I wouldn't really get that easily from another brush. I could get it, it just wouldn't be easy. And sometimes it's about being easy. I'm going to bring this up the majority of this grass at the 5-6 inch mark. If you have trouble getting the relationships of where objects are, just try to keep your grass kind of up and down between 5 and 6 inches, curving up, and it'll be kind of higher here on the sides. Now, when I'm over here, I'm going to curve this way, right? So when I'm moving towards the left, the bow of my stroke will curve left. When I'm moving towards the right, the bow of my stroke will curve right.
And that sort of amplifies that fisheye lens kind of feel.
Yeah, and it also kind of gives us the sense that we're looking into a clump.
Oh, yeah.
And that's wonderful. And here I am just brushing that up. See how lightly my brush is pressing too? I'm not pressing in like that. Look at the difference in that stroke.
Oh, yeah.
If I was going like that, I wouldn't really get the results I was wanting unless I really, really wanted thick strokes.
That's what it looked like when I tried to use a brush.
Yes.
When I was like, that is not what brush strokes are supposed to look like.
Well, it is when you're trying to do a thick application brush stroke. I just grabbed a little more black and brown to vary it up. And also I'm softening out that area where I pressed very hard. Now, in areas where you're trying to cover more, you can press hard. Like if I want to cover a lot, I go like that, right?
Yeah.
But if I don't, then I've really got to stay on the toe, the tippy toe of the brush. So hopefully that's helpful if you're new to painting. You might not be thinking about how much pressure am I putting on my brush? How hard am I pressing? One of the first breakthroughs I see new artists have is that brush pressure. They start to notice how hard they're pressing. And I'm going a little bit slower so that you guys can kind of see how this is built and talking about a few of those challenges just to help you go. Now, of course, like if I'm trying to cover a big area, look, I can press heavy, big, thick stroke, light strokes, light pressure. Now, once I have that in, I'm going to go ahead and get a little of my green and my black kind of involved, maybe even some of my brown. And I'm going to make a deep value here at the center of all this. This would be the shadow, the dark values within the grasses and the flowers, right? And it's dry, it's end of summer. So there is a green tint to it, but it's not the bright green of spring, is it? Different colors than we normally paint with. Very different, almost retro.
I can see that, yeah.
Almost a retro color palette. Like this could almost be an avocado and a harvest gold going on here.
I was going to say that, yeah.
You know, ultramarine, very popular blue for a long time, but then, you know, Phthalo came out and everybody threw it over for Phthalo blue, and it's just sitting there in the palette going, but I've been there for you for hundreds of years. Where would anyone have been without me?
Talk to the Quinacridone.
One of the few non-poisonous blues. Guys, I'm wonderful. So you see that gives us a nice value there. I'm going to rinse my brush out. And now we're kind of seeing how beautiful that radial glow can be. And we're going to start putting some notes, some objects, right? So I know I'm going to want to do right in this space. So again, almost 4-4. It might be over a little bit from 4 inches. But I'm going to make a little mark so I know where I want that grass to grow. I'm going to come right here. Make another little mark. I'm using kids chalk, and I'm just making sure that I've got room for the things that I want to put in here, because I've got to put grasses, I've got to put flowers, I've got to put things. Like I know I need one up here. It's a couple inches over and 2 inches down, one that's right there, right here. I'm trying to think about these tall, beautiful grasses that we're going to be using. Now I'm going to grab my number 4 cat's tongue. And again, remember we talked about you could use a filbert if you didn't have one. I do recommend getting one of these brushes into your life if you can. I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna and my black, and you can see I'm loading it up very much on the toe of the brush, aren't I? And I might dip the toe of my brush into the water to improve flow. And I'm going to show you how to do this. John's going to really zoom in so you can see how it's built. So the first thing I often like to do is just make a very delicate little stroke. Right, coming down. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want a little blade of grass to be thinking about. Right, maybe a couple soft strokes here. The little implied grasses. At the top of this, I'm going to press and pull. Press, pull. Then I'm a zipper. Press, 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 press. See how I'm zippering that down? Press, 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 press. I can make them smaller as I come towards the end of the grass, just to blend them in nicely. Maybe one wants to be right here. Where am I going? And can sit there and go there. Little line of grass implying that it's growing up out of the ground. Can you guys see the press?
Mm-hmm. You've got a pretty messy brush there.
I do. I just get that paint right on there, don't I?
Is that going to be... Yeah, you just rolled it. You just did that little rolly thing you did.
Yeah, when I get too much paint, I roll it off and I reload it all up into the tip.
And that way you can make those impasto squishes.
That way I can make those impasto squishes.
I'm going to zoom in on those impasto squishes so you can see they are pretty thick.
I'm going to go ahead towards the sun, John, and put in the Dragonfly's little grass that he's going to be on. But first, I do want to have a stem, so I'm going to bring the stem down very lightly on the toe of my brush so I get a nice little line. Again, that's why one never bothers with a cat's tongue, or one of mine, is because it makes a nice thin line and it makes different brush strokes, 5 in 1. You could use the round brush that we have, the number 4 round, if it's not giving you a line you like. I'm going to press and pull. I'm using the shape of the brush, and this will be true when we're doing the flowers, to create the shape of the wheat, of the petals, of those objects. And we're using a dark value so we can come back with a highlight. Look at that little grass that it's perched on. Maybe he can have a little friend over here. Imply a little bit of a stem coming down. Hopefully I'm back enough from the camera so John can really get in on it. My little head's not in the way.
Oh, you're doing just fine.
You can see how that's just built? It's like a zipper, it pulls in.
Yeah.
I'm going to rinse out. Right. Now I might get my number 4 involved for some of these. This is a number 4 round. I'm going to go ahead and grab some of my green. It has a little bit of the black into it, which is good, but it still reads as green. And maybe right here, I will talk about this idea that there's a little flower right here. Nice little stem coming down. And then there could be a little flower right here, and I'm going to just put the smallest amount of stem there. And I had a bobble there that I want to clean up. And before it's dry, here's what I can do. I can come back with a clean brush and go, nope.
Oh. You just erasered it.
Yep, didn't like it, didn't love it. Take it off. Only works if the paint underneath is dry.
Another good reason to dry in layers.
Another good reason to dry in layers. You know, so I've got this kind of going here. So we're getting little bits of little thoughts of things. You know, we might have a little cornflower right here. And we may have another little daisy right here. So, cornflower, daisy, maybe a little poppy I can talk about that could be peeking out here off to this space. And we're also letting a lot of this dry. That's the other thing that we're doing, is letting things dry. I'm going to get back into my number 4 cat's tongue. And I'm going to put out a little of my Cad Yellow again. And a little of my Cad Red. This is just for the center of the daisies. And I'm going to start showing you how to do the petal stroke. I'm going to get a lot of white onto my little brush. Load it in. You see how I flip and load?
Yeah.
I'm going to come here, and this brush stroke is going to curve upwards and towards the right. So I press, and then as I pull, it releases. Can you guys see that petal stroke?
Oh, yeah.
I press, and as I pull, it releases. And I'm going to layer these in together, and I'm going to move my canvas to make this easier for me. So as I come here, if I need to, I may turn this to the side, right? Whether you're left-handed, whether you're right-handed, move the canvas to the side that you have the most control of the stroke. Press and pull, press and pull. I want all the little petals to merge into each other. That's wonderful. Good times, good times. Now I'm pretty sure this flower is so close to this wheat that I'm going to want to layer it over the top of the wheat, which means I have to do something. I'm going to then take my yellow ochre, changing colors, guys, so rinse out real well. I take my yellow ochre, white, a little bit of black, but mostly yellow ochre white. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to do the same zipper. Sometimes, though, it'll be in the center. See how I'll zipper the center? Which implies this next layer of grass and things that are going on. There could even be a distant, fair little grass happening here. Look at that.
Mm.
I might go like this, little bits of something that we're peeking through. Never be afraid to peek something through. Now, my strokes are very much on the inside of the initial grass. Okay, so that lets that pop. So when I go to do that, it won't be so hard for me to layer over it, because you got to think about where objects are. Is this one furthest away or is this one? How they layer over each other is their placement in the world. Aren't those little highlights just so keen?
Oh, yeah.
Little white, little yellow ochre. Now, right here, I did an interesting thing on his thing. I kind of highlighted it mostly on one side. Kind of implying it was just a little more in the sun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit going on there. I'll rinse out and change colors again for a second.
Nothing wrong with that.
As you do. And I'm going to find a couple places where I can put some more little flowers. I think while this is having a dry, I'm going to grab a little white. And I'm going to come over and I'm going to talk about that little daisy right there. Now, a trick is I can get a little yellow into my white, and that can help my petals to pop out. What are we doing? We're pressing and pulling. And if we need to move the canvas, what do?
Move it.
We move it. And I feel like those petals could be even bigger and more focal. So see how I can come back very easily?
Oh, yeah.
And make them so. My brush has the paint too high on the belly, so I'm going to roll it out and reload at the tip. I'm going to turn to the side. I'm going to pull, 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 pull. This fellow over here should be fine now, so let's go ahead and give some nice big daisy petals, right?
Yeah.
What am I going to do over here? Make sure that my belly isn't overly loaded. Everything is mostly at the tip. And you can see that my prediction was a little bit correct. It was going to layer. So that's another thing. Know that you can go over petals. You can do that. When those are done, come together and take a little of my Cad Red and my Cad Yellow, and I like to come and make a button top. See how we're doing?
Oh, yeah.
Just a little round button top. And it's in a light orange. I'm going to come back later and put a little yellow highlight on it. Little button top. If these are too wet, it may cream out on you and you may need to hit them real fast with a hairdryer. That's okay. You guys can handle that. Y'all are pros. Right?
Yeah.
Now let's put out our Phthalo blue. I'm going to go ahead and just load up my brush with the pure blue. I'm going to come here and I'm going to show you cornflower. Okay, cornflowers are going to start at this little stem and they are a little streak out. And in this case, look at how I let the brush's bristles kind of make the little petals.
Those are very cute.
I'm very fond of these little fellows. And I have a couple places that I could put one. I could put a little cornflower here and a little cornflower here, so why not? So if I go right here and I just make a little blue mark, I can start my cornflower and add the stem later. The stroke is a bit like an S. And then in the center, it kind of becomes more straight, and then it curves back out again as it comes out. You're going to want them to be a fairly dark blue. That way when we put the highlights in, they really pop. There's that first layer of cornflowers. Let's keep cornflowering. I feel like there could be more. Like there could be one just here. Underneath this daisy, right? Just in front of it a bit. That layer is looking pretty good. What's the next thing we could put in the layer? Well, it's the Cad Red. So I'm going to put out a little more of my Cad. The poppies are next. Still using the number 4 Cad style. I'm going to take a little, you can use your blue or your black. I'm going to bring the smallest amount over and I'm going to darken the red using the blue. It doesn't make a purple, but it does deepen it. You can see how that makes it darker?
Yeah.
Come right here. Above my stem. I'm going to kind of wiggle my brush and pull it down. Trying to make little wide, broad marks. Bring it over here. And then I like, this is going to curve like this. This will become the basis of my poppy. That crazy mess shape. I love crazy mess poppies. Because that's how poppies are.
I had never thought of them that way.
I'm just bringing a little stroke here. That makes kind of a little clump petal. You know, you can make the background much darker if you want. because when we come pop the red in, it will all feel like red. I am pulling all these strokes into one point so I can put the little basis of the stem back there. So I am paying attention to that. Now I've got one that can layer over the top of his friend. You can see I'm just building this by layers.
Yep. I'm trying to follow you. You're
right, I'm right here. Pressing and pulling.
It's one of those funniest days where you're taking a moment, stepping back, looking at the surface, coming back, putting a stroke down, stepping back, looking.
There's a grip of them, right, though?
Without me knowing whether or not you're going to do one of the other.
Where is she going to go? We don't know. Now I need to put stems here. I'll start here, and I'll move across. That'll help John know where I'm going. Yay. I'm going to start from the right and move towards the left.
All right.
I'm going to grab my green and a smidge of my black just to deepen it. Because, again, this is a very kind of retro color. And on the back of this poppy, I'll go ahead and add a little bit of that. Little stem curves there. This could definitely have, these have kind of like almost like a long little bit that connects to the flower. And then they have this short little stem that comes down. There we go. Just different versions of that. Add a little bit right here. How are you guys doing?
Doing really, really good today. We got a full house today. Everyone's in here hanging out.
There we go. Just curving those down. See how those nice little lines go? Yeah, we got those. I'm letting the red dry and the blue dry so I can do the second layer.
More layers,
that was weird. I grabbed some red, but it doesn't hurt me. So I'm going to go here. Again, making that longer little stem. To make these flowers, the flowers are not complicated. You've just got to do some things to help them pop. You just want to help them pop. Rinse, 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 rinse. Right? And you can either go get some blue and white for your cornflowers, or you can get some red for your poppies. Let's go red, 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 and then let's go blue, blue, blue. I'm going to get some just pure red loaded on the tip of my brush. See that? Little red there. Now maybe just put some there and one out there. So see how I'm leaving some dark and some light. Now come right here. You can build it right into that. How do those look? I'm going to rinse out thoroughly, and now I'm going to get some of my blue and quite a lot of my white. And I'm going to make this bright cornflower color. I'm going to come here and just add a few little highlights into my cornflower. And it can be nice. I like to even sometimes make it a little turquoise where necessary by adding a little green. I'm just trying to create little pops of drama. We're going to come right here and add this. Look at those little highlights. And then here on the left-hand side, why are we adding the highlights here? And why are they more here on the right-hand side and at the top? Because we're talking about this sunlight, this unbelievable sunlight that is raining down on everything. Now, if everybody's dry, I can take a minute and grab a little white and a little yellow, make this very light highlight, and come here and put a little highlight right there on my button. Right there on my button. Now I'm going to change the side. It's going to be on the right-hand side on my button. Again, because where's the sun? Guess what we do next? The next layer of flowers. I could use some fresh water.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll see if I could use fresh water.
Honey is around. She could change it out.
She come by?
I got one more. Change water on this painting off, and while we're changing the water, here we go. Change water on your painting often. So one of the things that makes your colors dull is dirty water. That is one of the things that you can do right now, not buying another product, not upgrading your paint, not anything else, but knowing that dirty water dulls your color. The other thing that you can do right now without buying other paint is notice how my paint has a lot of coverage. If you're painting a student paint,
There's ghost hands behind you.
cutie patootie. If you're painting a student paint, your coverage may not be this good. So you may need to paint something white first to make sure the blue doesn't show through, or add white to the color, or do 2 or 3 coats. No, that's okay. It's just something you need to know about your paint. Let's sip my coffee again. Are there any questions before we layer up next layer?
Let's scroll over here and see. I've been actually really watching you today. It's been kind of hard to catch as many questions because
I know I'm going all over the place. I'm going to start trying to just go right to left each time so I'm not so unpredictable.
That's, I think, all it is I just haven't been able to catch as many questions. I've been trying to watch over.
Flowers are nice today. Aren't the flowers nice today?
Oh, and so what brand of cat's tongue brush do you recommend? You have your own cat's tongue brush.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you honestly, here's the deal about this. In acrylic, this is the cat's tongue. And really cat's tongue, filbert is cat's tongue in French. And so to be cheeky, I named this cat's tongue, just straight. But really what it is it's a particular type of pointed filbert. Now, they have these in watercolor brushes, but they won't work for these techniques, unfortunately. They will in watercolor, they just won't work here. This, and also the point on this isn't so deep. It's enough to give you a fine line. It's enough to give you a delicate branch. And you get all 5 sides, and it's the TheArtSherpa. It's listed the exact item number. All of that is listed in the description, plus a link to places where you can buy them. But I mean, it's like at Michael's, right? And you can use the 40% off coupon. And just so you know, you buying my stuff on sale doesn't impact John and I in a negative way at all. So shop all the places, look at all the sales, get yourself a deal. I'll be happy for you, and your purse will be happy with you.
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully that was helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I need more flowers, I feel. More wheats, more flowers. So we remember our wheats. Our wheat starts with our black and our brown. Dark colors, right? So that we can highlight it. Now I can see for me, my paint's getting a little gummy. So make sure your paint is not gummy. You may have to put out in summer months more often than you think. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a little bit of a line to go, oh, I have a little wheat. Just zippering down. Oh, how nice is that? How nice are you? Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I come across here. The next wheat I'll have is over here, John.
Okay.
Let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
Oh, okay, cool, wonderful. I'm going to put one right here, kind of curving. Try to stay out of John's little camera view, but still get in my painting. We're a team, so that's why I speak of that, because sometimes it's I get right in John's one view of the camera.
Luckily, I have many cameras.
Yeah, he has to change and be and I'll notice it in lessons where he's switching from the right to the left pretty aggressively. That's a nice little bit of that. So I'm going to rinse that out. Rinse that out thoroughly. Now I'm going to come over here and kind of hit some, We got this. I'm going to work this one here.
Yeah.
I'm going to work this little row of daisies kind of across, but I've got a couple of gold wheats that are underneath them. So I think I have to put the gold wheats in now.
All right.
So on my gold wheats, the first color is that black-brown mix that we've got, right? Mix kind of a darker gold. And I'm going to come in here and put some of these in. Because I know that they're going to want to be in the background. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
You always have to think about your layers. What has to be first? What is layered on top of something else? One of the hardest things about breaking down a photograph, I'm going to go right there, or a painting, is trying to determine what you have to do with your layers. Where can you paint this object? When should you paint this object? And that's one of the nice things about a tutorial is we can take that pressure off of you. Feel like there should be one right here. Okay, so some nice heavy little wheats. I'm going to rinse out a little bit. Get some more of that gold, but I'm going to add some of that white to it like we did before for those highlights. And what am I going to highlight? Starting at the left and going through to this one. I'm going to highlight on the left-hand side of this because the sun's hitting it there. And then if I come here, and let me know when you're there, John.
Go ahead.
And if I come here, I'm going to highlight what side? The right side. And that also helps give it this feeling that the sun is glowing through. Now these are fun because I get to do a little bit of the yellow into the yellow ochre right here. So it's like 1 part yellow ochre, 1 part cad yellow, and a 1/2 part white. And that makes the highlight for this more golden wheat. And I'll start here as I'm supposed to help John, and I'll go across easily now.
Do you promise?
Try, man. You know me, my brain just goes, ah! Ones that are here, I kind of, you know, maybe both sides on this one.
It's all right.
You know, just little bits of the highlight there. It's fun to do. Let's highlight here. Little golden bits of wheat, right? Golden bits of wheat. A little bit right there. That's a little bit too gold. Knock that gold back. We got to leave room for the yellow flowers. But it starts to talk about those bits of wheat that we have. I'm going to rinse out thoroughly. I'm going to take my white paint and I'm going to say, right about, say here, a daisy. And then maybe here a daisy. I want to put a nice big daisy right there. Maybe one right there. Daisy right there. And then definitely we need a little daisy right here. So now I've given myself sort of a little pathway of daisy. I'm going to again load up on my brush with some white on that toe. And come here. Little water into my white just to help improve flow. Nice big petals, fat petals. Press harder, fat petals. Press lighter, skinny petals. Yes, it's okay to have like little open spots or some of it going through. It's very much okay.
My microphone was stuck half off.
Okay. See this on here? That's too far high up my belly, so I'm going to go do the rub off.
We spin it and then
reload to the toe. I really want this to be a focus daisy. I'll paint these petals. This is sort of outside of the dragonfly of the flowers. It's my more predominant one. And so I'll just focus that there a little bit. Okay, that a little bit of the ochre carries in because I can come back with some more white. I'm not even bothered by it. Doesn't even hurt me. Doesn't hurt you. Doesn't hurt any of us. Come here. A little kind of lighter daisy right there. Let's do another little daisy right here. Turn your canvas if you need to. I do. That was fun. And let that all have like a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a recovery. Right? We've got other flowers to put in. Let's put in some cornflowers. Maybe. Think yeah, I've got a few I've got to put in. At this layer. We'll put one right here. Maybe put a little implication in one here. Like not a whole like cornflower, just like a little bit of a thought of one. Another little thought of one there. Sometimes it's nice to hit their thoughts somewhere. This one could go in now pretty easily right here. There's a layers in front of that one.
These little flowers go in so fast.
They do. Now, I can also probably at this stage just get the white and the blue together for the phthalo and come in and do those highlights even now, wet into wet. And come to that one. There they are. Rinse, 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 rinse. And we could probably get away with a poppy about now, couldn't we? Let's add, oh, I went black. I want to do blue, so I'm just going to get some blue into it. But I actually did black. And that's what I mean is you could do black. You're just deepening the red a bit. This one is going to be more open. So I'm going to do a little petal. Improve the flow of this. Little petal. Little one right there, maybe. There. And then I like to do like a little curve when I'm trying to talk about that forward petal, and then one there. And when I come back with the highlight, that's going to let me talk about bits of poppy. Put a little bit of a poppy there, maybe. I think that's pretty good. Then I can come get a little bit of a black. And look at this. Just go right in the center there. Now we're doing good. While that is having a rest, I can come and start to put my little tops on, which starts with the red and yellow to make an orange. So let's put some tops on these. I need a little more yellow out. Look at me go. I've been going through color. I'm trying to put out less today. I put out maybe a little bit too much white because conditions are drying my paint out in unpredictable fashions. They're either making it sticky, but it won't dry, or they're drying it out too fast. It's doing one of the two things and never in a predictable, easy way I can work with. Because, you know, that would be wonderful if it did that. You can see that just gives me a little bit of a button there. There we go. Now at this point, because the way everything's drying so quickly, I can probably come back with some red. Just right on here. And I'm going to do, at this petal, a little red. Maybe a little red right there. And then watch this. The front a little red, and the front a little red. And doesn't that just tuck me a poppy in out of nowhere? How fun is that? How Well, that's just civilized, little poppy.
I like it.
And grab some just yellow. Come to the front of these. This one I like to do it at the top. And back to the right-hand side on this one, and then back to the right-hand side on this one. So those are just coming in. That's what we got to do next.
More flowers?
The next layer of flowers, but I do want to try to get a couple of the stems in. At least the one for the cornflower. Even though he's tucked into another person's stem, I still want him to have a good stem. And I may come here and be like, you have a stem, even if we never see it. That implication of a stem is important. And you can even talk a bit about the stems under the daisies very gently. I find it's good to just add implied stems because it helps pull the painting together. Now I really want to power through the next layer, so to be sure that I'm going to get the effect I want, I will dry this all real quick. We're actually nearly to the dragonfly. We've just a little bit, and then we get to do the dragonfly, and then we're done.
Cool. All right, so as she said, not too far away, and man, God, thank you guys for coming and joining us. It's been so nice to see you guys out here with us, joining us in the live sessions, hanging out. Love seeing you guys. It's been been really nice to do this stuff live with you guys. So, looking over here, what size brush is Cinnamon using? I think it was a number 4.
Number 4 cat's tongue, and I think I used a number 8 at the beginning.
Yeah.
I've used a 10 bright, a number 4 round in the TheArtSherpa. I'm putting out my white paint so I get a nicer petal because it's just getting gummy on me. So I think this is where we're at so far. This is what we've used. This for blending, this for putting in the background, this for getting the distant grass, this for delicate stems, and this for everything else. The number 4 cat's tongue, number 4 round, number 8 cat's tongue, number 10 ruby satin bright, and an ultimate varnish, which is really just a synthetic mop. Which is also very good at varnish, so I get why they called it that. But then I was like, oh, it's an even better blender. All right, so we need a couple more flowers here. I'll put one here maybe, and then one here. These are smaller, like more quiet little diminished flowers. So, I can do this one a little bit smaller. I can come here and put one a little bit bigger, and it can layer over its friend. I think I'm good there. We get to put a whole bunch of blue. Get some blue. And I think, like there's here, so let's come right here. And we're pretty used to just letting these little cornflowers just be crazy little cornflowers, right? Aren't we just good with that? If you like these brush strokes, I have a whole cornflower video and I have a whole kind of daisy like this video.
Yeah. And if you go out to our website and just click on video, type in any of those keywords and you can find those pretty quick.
Yeah, not even have to look for them that hard. Now I can go ahead and just grab some of this white while I'm just sitting here anyways. And let's put in some highlights to our lovely little cornflowers, right?
Yeah.
And always go back and get more blue. You can paint these out because they're a little more focused. People can see them better. Make them more beautiful. Make them as beautiful as you need. They could have little stems. We can care about them enough to give them stems, can't we? Sure we can. Sure we can. You guys can handle that, right?
Of course.
Now, let's get a little bit of my yellow and a smidge of my red for that orange, and I'm going to come here and make a little smile, and a little smile, and then we're going to make little buttons. Those are fun buttons. And this is how fast, I'm going to show you how you can just even do this wet and wet, and then even before it's dry, look, I can put the yellow on there. It's not gonna ruin my day. Now I get to do a row of poppies, but I think it'll help if it's dry, so I'm going to dry it.
Okay. Just a quick dry to make sure that all gets nice and, because you don't want the subsequent layers of paint to pick up. So what it means by that is, so if you don't want your white to pick up those green layers, so if you keep it thoroughly dry, isn't that right?
Exactly right.
Okay.
You want it to pick up color, you want it to pick up color. When you don't want it to pick up color, you don't want it to pick up color. It's entirely up to you. You get to be as fickle and change your mind as much as you want in a painting. It is your prerogative. I want to take this minute, though, take a deep breath and let it out. Remember, we hold our breath when we paint.
You were being serious.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's true.
Now let's play a game. I want to play this with everyone at home, whether you're here on live. If you're here on live, it would mean the world to me if you would type your answer in the comments. And even if you're here on replay, please add this in the comments. Because if you're still here, you're about doing this painting, and I want to hear from you. I want you to find 2 things in your painting that you feel you did well. And before you go, I hate everything about my painting. No, seriously, this is your job as an artist, to find a couple of things. Maybe you handled a nice blend. Maybe it's this petal. 1 petal makes you happy. Find 2 things, no matter how big or small, within your painting that you did well, and really mark them in your mind. And throw them up in the comments. What do you think you did well in your painting? You can have 10 things. But right now, I want you to go for 2 things that you know you did well, because it's super easy for beginners to see every single mistake they made. Really hard for you guys to recognize the strengths that you have, so you keep building on those. And I need you to start identifying where you're doing well. So I can't be with you, so imagine I'm with you. What would I say to you in your painting? Now, what would you say? What would I, or your best friend, or your mom, somebody who loves you, what would they point out to you is going well in your painting? All right, poppy layers. I know that's a big, rough assignment. I'm sorry, guys. I had to do it.
I think that's good. I think that's really good. I don't think we take enough time to look at our own stuff and find the good.
We really, really don't. Now I'm going to want a row of wheat, so I have to find room for my poppies where they're not going to interfere with my wheat. I'll put 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. 1 here. That's a nice hole. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for, if I were a florist, I'd be looking for holes. In paintings, we can look for holes. Sometimes we want holes. Sometimes we'll even encourage those holes. But really, honestly, what you're wanting to do is fill the empty spaces. I'll just grab ultramarine. It's okay. All of it's fine. We're just trying to darken our Cad Red. That we have still a red color, but it's quite dark. Let's come here and let's plant a poppy. Because you're wonderful and you can. This is another closed poppy. See how I press and pull that down? I'm not painting every single little edge or petal. I'm painting the overall shape of it. Now this one is an open poppy, and we can kind of remember what we did there. We want petals that are open, and then we want to make sure that it feels open. We do the curved stroke and maybe like that stroke. That kind of has a little petal that goes outwards. Then I can come back and put a little black center in there and work great. Breathe in, breathe out. Are they putting up what they're doing well in the comments, in the live? Are they being brave? I hope so.
I think so. I think I see some comments in here, so it's really hard to totally keep track. So I'm watching cameras too, but I think so. I think I see some brave posters in here happening. So
if you're a little further along, be brave for the people who are new and share. Share for them, because you remember what it's like, how hard it is to give yourself any credit for any success in your art. The first inclination is to look for every mistake. And there's a a misbelief among new painters and even some experienced ones that growth comes from criticism.
Oh man.
It doesn't. If it did, I would be like Debbie Allen in Fame. I would make you cry. I'd make you sweat. I'd make you beat on. If it would help you, I would do it.
Right.
There's a time.
But as beginners, we see our mistakes louder than we see our good stuff.
And what you guys need to do is more paintings and build on the things that you're naturally leaning into.
That's why you write down.
So you practice more, so you do more. Later, 100 paintings in, go ahead and get a critique. That's fantastic because you've gotten your skills together. You kind of know what you do well. And now you're trying to push yourself to that next level. But right now, it's not helpful. Otherwise, I would do it. I would do it like so crazy. I'll tell you, I would so do it. Right?
But
it's not helpful, so don't do it. All right.
If being mean would make better painters, you'd be the mean Sherpa.
I would be the mean Sherpa.
That'd be awesome.
That would be so mean. People would be like, she's so mean.
You'd be Arlie Sherpa, for those who remember Arlie Ernie, the drill sergeant.
Yes, I would be. But it doesn't help, so I don't. All right, now I'm going to grab my Just Pure Cad. And I think I'll come here and touch a couple of these little petals, as you do. Let's come over to their friends. Oh, maybe catch a little sunlight on those. That's nice. And what do we do here? We go, the back petals are lit up. That petal is lit up. What else petal is lit up? That petal. Now it's open. I need to connect this a little bit. I can. Because poppies they have big, broad petals. They're a bull flower. They're shaped like a bull. There we go. Just coming through. Look at me go. There. It's not about having it be perfect. Believe it or not, just being a little loose and crazy in a painting like this is sort of wonderful. Now we get to do the final stage of wheat. I will dry my painting again. And John will be there reading all your wonderful self-complimenting compliments.
I can't find a camera for my life. I was trying to hit this button.
You know what you're really good at, John?
I'm not good at that.
You are good at that. And you know what else you're really good at? Is just making it a fun, silly thing when it happens. And I'm really proud of you, and you're really good at that, and you're really good at facing YouTube, and you're really good at making all these crazy robotic things go.
Dry. So this is when you're married to the Sherpa, you get encouragement for, you know what? I'm going to have to ask if this counts for when I don't do dishes, or like I don't have to do trash or any of those things. Like I'll have to, maybe those would be bad times to bring up that yeah, no, I think I'm going to just take the win for today. Yeah, that'd be, so yeah, don't, there you go. We're back.
We're back?
We're
From
back.
outer space.
It's a silly day.
Am I silly or are you silly?
I think me.
You're silly today?
Just today.
It's good to be silly. Sometimes we need some silly days, man. I'll tell you what. I need some silly days. Oh, start of school. Always challenging. So I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad yellow and my yellow ochre, and I'm going to mix them together. It's going to make a much brighter color. And I need to do a little run of these little wheat bits. So let's go ahead and make some of these little light grasses that could be coming up, right? See these little fellows? Curving that out. It's pretty light. But we're just giving this a little basis. I don't want to do it too heavy because I really want my little wheats to show. And then I may even do these without the stem. I may go pull, 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 pull. Let's put one there. I feel like that's a hole. I didn't have it in the original painting, but I see it here. So I'm going to put one here. Can you put it there? Fill in the hole. Okay, let's fill a little hole here. Maybe this one is smaller. Look how I made this one smaller by pressing lighter and just using more of the toe. I can vary things like nature too. Just lovely, isn't it? I'm going to come around and just make this crown of wheat.
Yep. It's just that little zipper technique.
Just a little zipper. Zip your zippers, guys. Uh-oh.
Something beep.
That's never good. Do we still have power?
Everything's on like new. I ran 2 new 30 amp circuits to the studio. So
you're like, never again.
Well, we have nicely distributed power now.
I'm going to get into more of my yellow, and I'm going to grab some of my white right here, even before everything is dry. It's okay that it's still a little wet. And I'm going to come back through and add just little bits of highlight to my wheat. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Little bits of highlight. I'm out of your way.
Oh, you're doing great.
I'm trying to be so much better about that. My son gave me a lot of video advice recently. He said I say "and" too much. He's like, you're really good at connecting with people and speaking directly to the audience. He's like, but you say "and" a lot, and then you lose me. I'm like, well, that's insightful. And then John's like, how come I don't get to say that? I'm like, because he's my son. He gets away with a lot more. That my babies do all kinds of crazy things. How are we doing? We're getting our wheat in. Getting our wheat in. Oh, so lovely. Now, I'm going to take my round brush to do the rest of this, interestingly enough. And I'm going to freehand it in. You're welcome to use the traceable. There is on the website in the page. If you click the description below, it'll take you to where the traceable is. But not only does it take you where the traceable is, it gives you a video that shows you how to use the thing. So you're not like, oh, I've never used one before. It gives you a couple ways to do that, so you're not stuck on that either. And it's perfectly okay to not use anything but the Dragonfly version of it. Totally fine. But the first thing we're going to do, I think I'm going to need new blacks, not gummy. Don't put up with gummy paint. I saw somebody once trying to get paint back in the tube with Mountain, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know I would do that. Put out less. Maybe I could put out less. Use a wet palette. Okay, now I need room for his little legs, and so I'm going to start his face about 1/4 of an inch at least above the top of the wheat. And I'm going to make a pea-size little circle. Isn't that a pea-size little circle? Then it comes down just a smidge and curves up for the next part. Goes like that. You guys see the little circle and the weird circle? Now I like to, it's going to come up here like this, kind of curved up because he's in that upward position. And here's how I get this. I plant and pull, and I'm going to just come down, and that's how I get his little bumpy bottom. But you could just paint it out bumpy. It's okay. Now I'm going to paint everything here, kind of in solidly with the black. Refine and define any of the little shapes that I have along here so that they make me happy. I like that. He's really upward on this one today. He's super on point. Every day he's a little slightly different dragonfly. Let's put in some delicate little legs. So this one, that one's barely going to show. And I like to break lines. If you've painted with me for a while, you'll notice that to make a delicate line, sometimes I break it. And that gives the effect of something being so fine and delicate as that some of its visual is not showing in the sun. What do you think of that?
I like it.
Now I'm going to get my yellow ochre, and just a smidge of my black, and it's fairly thin, right? Because you don't want it to be too thick. And I'm going to come here and I'll show you the shape. So you're going to come up to at least about here. Let's bring the first wing up to about there. I make a bump and then another little bump. You guys see that? It's so minor, but it's a big deal. I mean, not in life, like it's not like, you know, something to like be super stressed about, but it's one of the things that help us feel like it's a dragonfly. So I'm going to do the one right next to it. And then again behind this, we're going to do something sort of similar. Aren't those dragonflies?
Yeah.
And I'll hide this fellow right there. Now I like to, and if you have it, you can. And you can just do it if it's one of those times if your paint is super transparent, it's also super helpful.
What were you using there?
I am using acrylic glazing liquid by Golden. There isn't another product like it. You'll see other things called glazing liquid. Trust me, they are not that. They're a totally different thing. This slows down the drying time of your paint and allows you to glaze. So I don't want to have two. I don't want you to have two. So we use that one. But that lets me paint a very transparent wing. Can you see how transparent that wing is?
I do.
And I like that very much. You could just thin with water, certain things, you know, to bring it down. But I want the wing to really be delicate and not show. I'm going to rinse out. And my first color that I'm going to use, I'm going to try to get some green. And I may put some yellow into it so it's bright. And I'm going to come to the top of his head. And in his body. Right, in his body. We want to really see it. And then I bring some of it up here. I'm going to do there, 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 and at the tip.
Oh.
Now I may also put some of this into my glaze. Maybe with a little bit more yellow into it. See how we're doing? I'm going to come here and just at the tip of my wing. Pull that down. It's like kissing it, isn't it? We're just going to kiss these little things. Put out a tiny amount of phthalo. Phthalo Ithacane. Let's get a smidge of the white so you can really see the blue. Right? Sometimes phthalo can be so dark it appears black, right? Come on top of that green, right there, the top of his head. Make another little reflection right there. I like to put a little blue at the back of each of the little bumps. And again, I'm going to get my glazing medium out, and we're going to put just a tip of it at the wing. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And then you know all you got to do to finish it out. Reflections. So I'm going to get just on the tip of my brush this little bit of white.
There's a little
Go
highlight.
here and put a little reflection.
Those are super important.
They do. They help so much. Dots, dots, dots. And I do like to add them a bit to the wings. Because they're quite shiny as well. And then guess what we get to do?
You're going to sign it.
We get to sign it. You guys thrilled with yourselves? I really hope you are.
Yeah, this turned out really good. And a lot of folks were saying that they think that this is going to help them with the dragonfly wings because they've struggled with that. So
they can be really challenging. Right? And they're just the most fun to paint. And you know, they get more and more involved. You can paint them super realistically, but just understanding that basic construction can help you with anything you're doing with them. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my white, and I'll let some yellow get into it, and a pointed brush, and I'm going to come here to the corner. Just sign. That's all I've got to do. I'll go to the front, John.
Okay.
Look around it.
That turned out really nice.
Isn't that just beautiful? You can add more flowers. You can change flowers. This construction would work with a winter arrangement, spring arrangement, summer arrangements. you can actually make a bunch of matching ones. So feel imaginative. Don't get frustrated at the radials. Those are challenging. If you're feeling like they are. Okay, you may need to take a couple coats, do the blending video, work on those techniques, get that second brush. Filbert or cat's tongue, either one, they'll work great. I mean, I love mine, but there's a lot of good stuff out there. So don't feel pressured. Don't not do something because you're waiting to get like some particular tool. And just enjoy the end of summer and the beginning of fall, which is about to be craft season. Be good to yourself, be good to each other, and I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.